Latona Dungay understands the anguish of America's black communities. The last moment of her son's life were tragically similar to those of George Floyd.
It was very devastating to look at that too, because of the memory of putting my son in the ground, just like they had to put George, their son, in the ground.
In 2015, David Dungay Jr. died inside a Sydney prison after being held down by guards. Video footage captured him gasping, "I can't breathe," more than 10 times.
I can't breathe!
There was no international outrage over his death, and no charges have ever been laid.
Black lives do matter, and Aboriginal lives matter, and David Jr.'s lives matter.
It's been more than 30 years since the Royal Commission into Aboriginal deaths in custody. It found a disproportionate number of Indigenous deaths had occurred and recommended sweeping changes.
It's a very big issue in the Aboriginal community. There have been over 430 deaths in custody since that Royal Commission.
But many of those calls for reform were never enacted, and the issues between police and Indigenous communities have not gone away. With much of the world's gaze on the United States, this footage emerged, showing the violent arrest of an Indigenous teenager in Sydney.
What the f***? Just landed him on the phone.
Police claim they were speaking with a group of teenagers when one threatened an officer. An investigation is now underway, with the constable placed on restricted duties. Indigenous Australians make up just 3% of the population, yet constitute 30% of all Australian prisoners. Meanwhile, half of those in the youth detention system are Indigenous. The family of West Australian woman Joyce Clark believe there's much to be done. A police officer was charged with murder after a shooting death last year. It's before court and he's pled not guilty.
It hasn't changed a bit from back then to now.
Like it's getting worse.
It's getting worse.
They hope these international events are a catalyst for change. Isabella Higgins, ABC News.